Rain hammered against the tall windows of the Gilded Table, the most exclusive restaurant in Manhattan. Inside, everything shimmered with the kind of wealth that didn't need to shout. Crystal lights glowed like stars, violins played softly, and the air carried the faint scent of truffle and old money. Ana Morales balanced a silver tray on her arm, moving through the room with quiet precision. Her shoes were damp, her feet aching, but she hid it well. A smile here, a polite nod there. She had learned how to disappear behind perfect service. No one ever really looked at the waitress. Not in this place. "Table 12's yours tonight," her manager whispered. "Don't mess it up. It's Harrison Vale." Ana froze. Even the cooks in the back knew that name. Harrison Vale, the billionaire developer who bought half the skyline. Cold. Brilliant. The kind of man who could destroy a life with one phone call and forget about it by dessert. She glanced at the corner table, already set to perfection. The leather chairs gleamed under the soft amber light. Yet one of them, the one facing the window, made her chest tighten. Something about it felt wrong. She couldn't explain it, but every time she looked at that chair, her stomach twisted, like a warning whispered by something unseen. Her mother's words came back to her, faint and distant. "Some places remember pain, mihija. Never sit where sorrow lingers." Ana had laughed at that once. Not tonight. The room hushed as Harrison Vale entered. He moved with the confidence of someone who owned every breath of air around him. His dark coat shimmered with raindrops, his silver hair slicked back. Conversations died mid-sentence. The maitre d' rushed forward. "Mr. Vale, your usual table, sir." Ana straightened her posture, heart thudding as he approached. She saw him glance over the setup with a faint nod of approval. He didn't notice her at first. Men like him never did. She reached for the bottle of still water, pouring it carefully into his glass. "Good evening, sir," she said softly. He gave a curt nod, already pulling out his chair, the one by the window. Instinct hit her like lightning. Her voice broke the hush before she could stop it. "Sir, please don't sit there." Every head in the dining room turned. Forks paused midair. Even the violinist stopped playing. Harrison Vale's eyes lifted, cold and sharp as glass. "Excuse me." Anna's face flushed. Her pulse roared in her ears. I'm sorry, sir. That chair, It's what?" His tone cut like a blade. Her manager was already hurrying over, face pale. "Mr. Vale, I apologize. She's new, But Harrison didn't look at the manager. His gaze stayed locked on Anna, unreadable. "You were saying, miss..." Her mouth went dry. She wanted to vanish, to swallow the words back. But some strange, bone-deep certainty held her still. "You shouldn't sit there. Please." He stared at her for a long, uncomfortable beat. Then with a slow, deliberate motion, he set his hand on the chair's back. The room seemed to exhale. Anna's heart dropped. The air around them felt heavy, like static before a storm. She couldn't look away. Her mother's warning whispered again in her mind. "Some places remember pain." Then, as his fingers brushed the chair's armrest, Harrison Vale's expression changed. His confident smirk faltered. His face drained of color. He pulled his hand back sharply. "Where did this come from?" he demanded, his voice low but trembling. The manager blinked. "Sir?" "This chair." His eyes flicked to Anna again, confusion and something else. Fear, darkening his features. "Who put this here?" The entire room was silent. Anna swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. "It was already here, sir. But you can't sit in it." Harrison's jaw tightened. "Why not?" Her answer came out before she could think. "Because that's where someone died." The billionaire freezes, staring at the chair as if he's seen a ghost. The restaurant stayed silent long after her words echoed through it. Because that's where someone died. Anna could still feel every eye on her. The manager's face had turned the color of spoiled milk. Harrison Vale said nothing, just stood there, hand frozen inches above the chair. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the bar, his expression unreadable. The tension snapped only when the murmurs began. What did she say? Did someone actually die? She's losing her mind. Her manager hissed through clenched teeth. Kitchen. Now. Inside the narrow corridor behind the dining hall, the noise of clattering plates and sizzling pans wrapped around her. The smell of garlic and burnt butter filled the air. The manager's voice cut through it. What the hell was that, Anna? You just told one of the richest men in America not to sit down in his own restaurant. She pressed a hand to her chest, trying to slow her breathing. I felt something. I swear, there's something about that chair. Something? The manager laughed bitterly. Do you realize you just risked your job over a feeling? You're lucky he didn't throw a lawsuit on the table. Anna dropped her gaze. I'm sorry. He rubbed his temples. You're on thin ice. Get back out there and apologize if he asks for you. And for God's sake, don't talk about people dying. When she finally stepped outside, the air felt heavier, thicker. Harrison Vale was gone. His table sat empty, except for that chair, the one that had felt wrong from the moment she saw it. She avoided looking at it as she cleared the glasses, but her hands wouldn't stop trembling. After her shift, she walked home through the rain. Queens was quieter at night, the puddles reflecting sickly streetlight gold. Her apartment sat above a laundromat that never closed. The constant hum of dryers had become her lullaby. Inside, the tiny one-bedroom smelled faintly of lavender and old wood polish. Her mother's voice came from the couch. You're late again, baby. Lucia Morales was 57, her body thin and frail after years of illness. She smiled, but her eyes were tired. Did you eat? Yeah, Mum. Long night. Lucia reached for her daughter's hand. You've been working too hard. Your father would have hated seeing you like this. Anna tried to smile. It's fine, I'm saving for school again. But her chest ached at the lie. Architecture had once been her dream, before the accident, before her father's death left them drowning in bills. She turned toward the small wooden cabinet in the corner. On top sat a photograph of a man with dark eyes and a patient smile. Next to it, a simple candle flickered beneath a cracked glass frame. Miguel Morales, her father. She touched the frame gently. Dad, you'd understand, wouldn't you? Her mother's voice came soft behind her. That chair, the one you talked about at work. It bothered you, didn't it? Anna hesitated. It wasn't just the chair. It was the way the air felt around it. Like something trapped there. Lucia nodded slowly. Your father used to say, wood remembers. It holds the energy of the hands that shaped it, the pain of those who touched it. Anna laughed weakly. You mean the Morales superstition again? Her mother smiled sadly. Maybe. But sometimes the world remembers what people forget. Anna sank into the worn armchair beside her. Do you ever think about him? About that night? Lucia's eyes drifted toward the candle. Every day. Her voice trembled. The man he worked for never even came to the funeral. Anna frowned. What was his name again? Lucia hesitated, then whispered, Vale. Harrison Vale. Anna froze. The rain outside seemed to stop for a heartbeat. Lucia's gaze softened. Why? Anna's throat went dry. Nothing. I just think I met him tonight. Anna stares at the candle's flame, realizing the man she warned not to sit down is the same one her father died working for. The next morning, Anna woke to the sound of rain still whispering against the windows. The world outside was grey, the kind of color that made the city look like it was holding its breath. She sat at the small kitchen table, sipping lukewarm coffee from a chipped mug, trying to convince herself that last night had been a dream. It wasn't. Her phone buzzed. A message from the restaurant manager. Be here early. Mr. Vale requested you personally. Her stomach dropped. He what? She muttered. Lucia looked up from the couch, wrapped in her blanket. Who's calling you so early? No one, Mum. Just work. She dressed quickly, pulling on the same black uniform she'd washed at midnight. As she left, her mother called softly. Be careful, Anna. Some men carry storms with them. By the time she arrived at the gilded table, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. The dining room was empty, except for one man seated near the corner window. Harrison Vale. Even in daylight, he looked like he'd been carved from marble. Sharp, precise, immovable. The kind of man whose silence made people stumble over themselves to fill it. A folded newspaper sat untouched in front of him. A cup of coffee steamed beside his phone, untouched as well. Anna's manager caught her near the entrance. He asked for you, he whispered, nervous energy in his eyes. Do whatever he says. Smile, agree, apologize. I can't lose this client. Anna nodded, though her hands trembled slightly as she approached the table. Good morning, Mr. Vale, she said, forcing steadiness into her voice. He looked up, his grey eyes sharp and deliberate. You came. I work here, she replied carefully. A faint ghost of a smile touched his mouth. I suppose that's true. Sit down. She hesitated. I'm not supposed to. I wasn't asking, he interrupted. His tone wasn't angry, but it left no space for refusal. Anna sat across from him, her palms pressed flat against her knees. For a long moment, he said nothing. He studied her face the way a scientist studies a rare specimen. Intense, silent, unsettling. Then he leaned back slightly. You said something strange last night. About the chair. Her throat tightened. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. He waved a hand dismissively. No, that's not what I mean. You said someone died. How would you know that? I didn't know, she said quickly. It was just a feeling. His eyes narrowed, searching her expression. A feeling. Yes, sir. Do you always tell customers where not to sit based on feelings? Her lips parted, but she couldn't form an answer. He leaned forward. You saw something, didn't you? Anna blinked. What? When I touched that chair, he said quietly, you looked terrified. Not just nervous. Terrified. Why? I don't know, she whispered. It felt wrong, like someone was still there. His jaw tightened. Someone was there. 20 years ago. She looked up sharply. What do you mean? He didn't respond. Instead, he reached into his coat pocket and placed a small silver ring on the table. My wife was sitting in that chair the night she died, he said softly. That's why I bought the set and locked it away. But someone brought it back. Anna stared at the ring, its sapphire glinting faintly in the morning light. I shouldn't have yelled at you, he said finally. You were right to stop me. She swallowed hard. I didn't know, sir. He nodded, eyes distant. No one did. Then his gaze drifted to her necklace, a simple silver pendant her father had made. That piece, he murmured. Where did you get it? My dad, she said quietly. He made furniture, before he died. Something flickered across Harrison's face. What was his name? Miguel Morales. The air between them shifted. His hand tightened around the ring. He whispered almost to himself. I knew that name. Harrison Vale stares at her in disbelief, realizing the man who built the cursed chair was her father. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The sound of rain against the windows was the only thing moving between them. Harrison Vale leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight, eyes fixed somewhere far beyond the room. Miguel Morales, he repeated, as if the name itself carried weight. He worked for me once. Anna blinked. My father? You knew him? He nodded slowly. Yes, years ago, before the accident. What accident? She asked carefully, but part of her already knew. Harrison rubbed a hand over his face, the gesture weary and unguarded. Nothing like the powerful man she'd seen the night before. 20 years ago, my wife and I hosted a charity gala, a celebration of the company's success. She insisted the furniture be custom-made, said she wanted something that felt alive. Miguel was the craftsman we hired. He built every table, every chair in that ballroom. Anna's breath caught. I still remember the night, Harrison said quietly. The chandeliers, the music, the speeches. Eleanor was wearing silver, the same color as the chairs he built. She was laughing. She always laughed too loudly. And then he paused, swallowing hard. The ceiling gave way. Anna's chest tightened. The collapse. He nodded. One of the chandeliers fell. The whole structure followed. It crushed half the room. They said a man, one of the workers, rushed in to pull her out. His voice cracked for the first time. He didn't make it out himself. Anna's throat went dry. My father. Harrison met her eyes, and for a heartbeat, she saw something like guilt flicker there. They never found his body, just his tool belt. I made sure his family was compensated, though I suppose money never reached where it should have. Anna felt the floor tilt beneath her. You're saying my dad died saving your wife? He did more than that, Harrison said. He gave up everything for a woman he didn't even know. She stared down at the table, at the small ring he'd placed there, and that chair. He sighed. After the collapse, I bought every piece Miguel ever made. I couldn't bear to see them destroyed. I kept them locked away in storage. They were the last things she touched. But that specific chair, Eleanor's chair, it vanished years ago. I thought it was gone for good until last night. Who brought it back? I don't know, he said, his tone sharp again. It was supposed to stay buried. But now it's here, in my restaurant, and you— He looked at her carefully. You felt something before I said a word. Anna's pulse pounded. I don't know why. It's like the air changed when I walked near it. Like it was remembering. Harrison's eyes darkened. You sound like Eleanor. She believed in that kind of thing. Said objects held energy. That wood absorbed emotion. I told her it was nonsense. He gave a bitter smile. Now I'm not so sure. Anna hesitated, then asked quietly, Do you believe in ghosts, Mr. Vale? He exhaled through his nose. I believe in consequences. Their eyes met again, and for a moment the air between them felt electric. Two people tied by an invisible thread, spun from tragedy neither had chosen. Harrison stood abruptly, pocketing the ring. That chair shouldn't exist anymore. I'll find out who brought it back. Anna rose too. What if it's not just the chair? He frowned. What do you mean? She steadied her voice. What if it's trying to tell you something? Harrison froze. Something unreadable crossed his face. Then he turned and walked away, his voice low but heavy. If it is, Miss Morales, I'm not sure I want to hear it. As Harrison leaves, Anna turns to look at the empty chair, and for a split second, she swears she sees someone sitting there, smiling faintly in silver light. The next few nights at the gilded table felt like walking through fog. The chair remained in storage, sealed off in a corner of the basement, but Anna couldn't shake the feeling that it was still there, breathing under the floorboards. Every time she passed the staircase, her skin prickled, as if someone was standing just behind her shoulder. The manager, desperate to appease Harrison Vale, had ordered everyone to keep quiet about what happened. No rumors, no ghost stories, he'd barked. If Mr. Vale wants it gone, it's gone. But gossip had its own life. The other servers whispered in corners, trading versions of the story like currency. The cursed chair. The waitress who stopped a billionaire. The man who died saving his wife. By Friday night, Harrison returned. He walked in alone, no entourage, no bodyguards. Just him, sharp suit, expression unreadable. The entire staff stiffened. Anna froze mid-step as his eyes found hers across the room. Mr. Val, the manager said quickly, rushing to greet him. We've set your private table. I'll sit in the lounge, Harrison interrupted. His gaze stayed fixed on Anna. "And I want her to serve me." The manager hesitated. "Of course, sir." Anna felt her throat tighten. As she approached, she could feel the hum of the room fade. He watched her set down a glass of scotch without touching it. "Still think furniture has feelings?" he asked. "I didn't say that." He leaned forward, elbows on the table. "Then what did you mean? It was remembering. That's what you said." Anna glanced around. A couple of waiters were pretending not to listen. "I shouldn't have said anything, sir. It sounded crazy." "I've heard crazier," he said dryly. "Humor me." She hesitated, then said quietly, "Sometimes my mom says objects carry what people leave behind. Joy, pain, grief. Maybe it's nonsense. But when you reached for that chair, I swear the air changed. Like it remembered something bad." He studied her, expression hard to read. "You know, I built my entire career proving that feelings are worthless. Numbers don't lie. But that night, when I touched that chair, my heart nearly stopped." Anna frowned. "You felt it too?" He didn't answer. He took a slow sip of his drink, then set it down. "I keep trying to explain it away. Shock, memory, guilt. But none of it fits. It's like the damn thing wanted to warn me." She spoke before she could stop herself. "Maybe it wasn't warning you. Maybe it wanted you to remember." He looked up sharply. "Remember what?" "Your wife," Anna said softly, "and the man who saved her." The words hung in the air. His jaw tightened. "You think I've forgotten?" he said, his voice low. "I remember every sound from that night. The ceiling splitting, her scream, the fire. I remember standing there, useless, while someone else dragged her out." Anna swallowed hard. "You blame yourself." He laughed once, bitterly. "I am to blame. The gala was my project, my building, my engineers, my pride. That collapse wasn't fate. It was negligence. And your father paid for it." Anna's chest ached. "Then why hide the truth? Why keep it buried under money and marble?" "Because guilt doesn't fix anything," he said, his voice rising. "And I don't believe in ghosts." She met his eyes, steady. "Maybe ghosts don't care what you believe." For the first time, Harrison looked shaken. His fingers tightened around the glass until it cracked in his hand. A thin line of blood traced across his palm, dark against his pale skin. Anna gasped. "You're bleeding." He stood abruptly, shaking off her concern. "I'm fine." His voice trembled despite the words. "Tell your manager I'll be in touch. There's something I need to confirm." He turned and walked toward the exit, leaving a faint smear of red on the rim of the glass. As Harrison leaves, Anna looks down and sees the blood on the table, forming a faint ring-shaped pattern, identical to the mark burned into the cursed chair. Saturday evening hit the gilded table like a tidal wave. The restaurant buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the hum of soft jazz. But behind the kitchen doors, tension simmered hotter than the stoves. Anna moved like a ghost through the chaos. She couldn't shake the image of Harrison's hand bleeding, or the strange ring-shaped mark left on the table after he stormed out. She'd wiped it clean a dozen times, but somehow in her mind she could still see it. Dark, perfect, circular. "Anna," her manager barked from across the prep line. "In my office, now." The staff froze. Even the dishwasher stopped for a second. Anna set down her tray and followed him into the cramped back room that smelled faintly of burnt coffee and frustration. The door slammed behind her. "Do you enjoy making my life harder?" he snapped. She blinked. "What did I do now?" He jabbed a finger at her. "Harrison Vale, the billionaire who keeps this place on the map. He called this morning, said he doesn't want anyone else serving him but you." "I didn't ask him to." "Doesn't matter," he hissed. "He's our biggest client, and now everyone's talking. The other waitstaff are complaining you're getting special treatment. The investors are sniffing around, and I've got journalists calling about some ridiculous story involving a haunted chair." Anna's chest tightened. Wait. What? He groaned. Some blogger overheard the kitchen gossip. Now there's a headline online. Billionaire haunted by waitress's curse. You think that's good for business? I didn't talk to anyone. Doesn't matter, he said again, pacing like a caged animal. You started this circus when you opened your mouth about that chair. She took a deep breath. Sir, with respect, something is wrong with it. You saw what happened that night. He froze, rubbing his temples. You're not about to give me the ghost speech, are you? Because I swear, I'm serious, she cut in. That chair shouldn't be here. And if Mr. Vale— Enough! His voice cracked through the room. Whatever's happening between you two, I want it off the floor. No drama, no rumors, no billionaire breakdowns. Got it? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Got it. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. One more stunt like that, and you're done here. I don't care if Mr. Vale himself begs me to keep you. Anna nodded, though anger burned hot beneath her calm. She walked out, the weight of the warning pressing down on her chest. Out on the floor, she caught a glimpse of the cursed chair through the glass wall of the basement storage. The maintenance crew had sealed the door with yellow tape, but the faint outline of the chair still showed through the light. Hey, whispered Maya, another waitress, as she passed. You okay? Anna forced a smile. Yeah, just tired. Your billionaire's back. Her heart skipped. He's here? Maya nodded toward the far corner of the dining room. Table 12. Same spot. He looks different. Anna turned, and there he was, Harrison Vale, sitting in his usual place alone. But something about him had changed. His posture was heavier, his face drawn, like he hadn't slept. She straightened her apron and walked over. Good evening, Mr. Vale, she said carefully. Would you like your usual? He looked up slowly, his eyes darker than before. No, he said, not tonight. Sit down. Her heart pounded. Sir, I can't. Please, he interrupted softly. Just for a moment. She hesitated, then lowered herself into the seat opposite him. I went to the warehouse, he said after a long pause. To see the chair again. Anna swallowed. Why? Because I needed to know if it was real, he murmured. And when I touched it, he stopped, his hand trembling slightly. It was warm, like it had a pulse. Anna's breath caught. What do you think it means? He met her eyes, voice low and haunted. I think someone doesn't want me to forget. Harrison slides a photo across the table, an old gala picture showing his late wife smiling beside a man in work clothes. The man's name tag reads Miguel Morales. Anna stared at the photograph on the table. The colors were faded, but the image was unmistakable. A lavish ballroom, chandeliers glowing overhead. Harrison's wife, Eleanor, radiant in silver. And next to her, a tall man in a grey work shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, sawdust on his collar, smiling with quiet pride. Her father, Miguel Morales. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Where did you get this? Harrison's voice was steady, but his eyes weren't. It was in an old box I found in the storage vault. I don't remember ever seeing it before. She brushed her fingers lightly over the image. That's him. My dad. I know. Harrison looked away for a moment. I don't think it's an accident that this photo turned up now, or that chair. Anna frowned. You think someone's trying to tell you something? Who? He didn't answer right away. Maybe not someone, he said softly. Maybe something. Anna sat back, watching him. The great Harrison Vale, the man who built skyscrapers and tore down competitors, looked small for the first time. Human. Haunted. I can't sleep, he admitted. Every time I close my eyes, I hear that night. The music stopping, the screaming, the glass shattering, and her calling my name. Then a man's voice, shouting for help. I used to think it was a dream. But what if it wasn't? What if I heard your father? Her throat tightened. You never knew who saved her? No. He vanished in the chaos. By the time they pulled me out, the fire had already started. I couldn't find him. His hands trembled slightly. I should have tried harder. Anna's eyes filled with tears. He wasn't just some worker to you. He was a person. My mom never got a phone call. Not even a thank you. Harrison's face darkened with shame. That's on me. I thought the company handled it. I told myself his family was taken care of, but, truthfully, I didn't check. She leaned forward, voice shaking. We lost everything. My mom sold her wedding ring just to bury him. He stared at her, guilt deepening in his expression. I can't undo that, but I can make it right. Make it right? She repeated, disbelieving. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a check. The paper gleamed pale under the candlelight. A trust fund, for your mother, and for you. Enough to start over. You don't have to wait tables ever again. Anna pushed it back toward him. You think money fixes this? You think a check erases what happened to him? Harrison's jaw tightened. It's not about erasing. It's about acknowledgement. It's the least I can do. The least? Her voice rose, trembling with anger. He gave his life, and you gave him nothing. The people at nearby tables turned their heads, curious. Harrison's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped low, heavy with finality. Miss Morales, please. I'm trying to help you. Anna's eyes burned. Then stop trying to buy my father's soul. She stood abruptly, tears stinging her cheeks. You can't put a price on what he gave up. She turned to walk away, but his hand shot out, gripping her wrist, not harshly, but desperate. Anna, he said quietly. Wait. Please. I think your father's death. It wasn't an accident. She froze. What? He let go of her, his eyes glinting with something that looked like fear. I found more than just a photograph in that box. There were blueprints, revised ones. Someone tampered with the structure before the gala. Someone wanted that ceiling to fall. Anna's voice was barely a whisper. You're saying it was sabotage? He nodded once. And if that's true, your father might have been killed for what he knew. The room around them seemed to fade, replaced by the slow thud of her heartbeat. Harrison leans in, voice trembling. And whoever did it is still alive. The words hung between them like smoke. Whoever did it is still alive. Anna felt her heart hammering against her ribs. You can't just drop something like that, she whispered. Who would sabotage a charity event? Harrison's eyes darted toward the window, as if expecting someone to be listening. Someone inside my company. Someone close. Back then, Vailtech was expanding too fast. There were rivals, partners, enemies, all pretending to be friends. Eleanor was the only one who saw it. She warned me. I didn't listen. Anna's pulse thudded louder. So my dad, he might have known something. I think he discovered the flaw before it happened, Harrison said quietly. Those revised blueprints had his initials on them. He must have tried to fix the issue. That's why he was there when the ceiling collapsed. Her voice cracked. You think they killed him to cover it up? He met her eyes, and for a moment, the power, the arrogance, everything that made him the billionaire titan was gone. What was left was a man drowning in regret. I think he died trying to save everyone from my mistake. Silence stretched between them. Anna stared down at her hands. They were shaking. Her father's initials, MM, engraved on his old tools, on his sketches, on her heart. Harrison cleared his throat. There's something else. He reached into his pocket again, this time pulling out a small velvet pouch. He slid it across the table. What's this? She asked. Something I found with the blueprints, he said. Anna opened the pouch and froze. Inside lay a delicate silver chain with a pendant shaped like a teardrop, engraved with an ornate E. Her voice was a whisper. Eleanor. He nodded. My wife wore it every day. After the accident, it disappeared. I thought it burned with everything else. Anna's hands trembled as she held it up to the light. The pendant caught a glimmer from her own necklace, the one her father made. Same shape, same silver, different engraving, Harrison noticed, his brows furrowed. That pendant! Where did you get it? My father made it, she said. He gave it to my mother before he died, said it was his best work. Let me see it, he said gently. She hesitated, then unclasped the chain and handed it to him. He placed both pendants side by side on the table. They were identical in size and metalwork, but when the light hit them, the truth shimmered through. The two halves aligned perfectly, forming one complete design, a pair of wings. Harrison's breath caught. He made them as a set. Anna whispered, one for your wife, and one for my mom. The realization hit them both at once. My wife and your father knew each other better than I thought, he murmured. Maybe she asked him to make it. Or maybe... His voice trailed off. Maybe she gave it to him, Anna said quietly. He looked up sharply. You think they... I don't know, Anna interrupted, her voice trembling. But my mom kept this necklace like it was sacred. She said it was the only thing she had left of my dad that felt alive. Harrison stared at the two pendants, his jaw tightening. If that's true, then this goes deeper than I realized. He slid her pendant back toward her. Keep it close. It might be the key to everything. Anna tucked it back around her neck, her fingers cold against the silver. What do we do now? He leaned forward, lowering his voice. I need to find out who altered those blueprints, and who's been moving the pieces since. I can't do it alone. Her eyes widened. You want my help? Yes, he said. You're the only person who has nothing to lose, and everything to uncover. Anna stared at him, torn between fear and resolve. If we do this, we do it right. No lies, no money. Just the truth. Harrison nodded slowly. Agreed. He stood, his voice low. Meet me tomorrow. 11 a.m., Vale Tech headquarters. As he turned to leave, Anna called out, Miss Vale, what if whoever did this is still watching? He looked back, eyes like steel. Then let them watch. After he leaves, Anna looks down at the pendant and notices something engraved on the back she's never seen before. For E, from M, until the truth. The night after their meeting, Anna barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her father's face, the one from the photograph, standing beside a woman in silver. Her heart twisted every time she thought about the pendant, the two halves forming wings, and the words engraved on the back. For E, from M, until the truth. By morning, she'd made up her mind. She would go to Vale Tech. She needed answers about her father, about Eleanor Vale, and about the accident that had stolen everything from her family. When she stepped into the lobby, she felt small. The building was made of glass and steel, reaching high enough to disappear into the clouds. Security guards stood like statues, and the marble floors gleamed so perfectly that her reflection stared back at her with pure, nervous eyes. At the reception desk, a woman in a crisp grey suit gave her a professional smile. Miss Morales, Mr. Vale is expecting you. Top floor. The elevator ride felt endless. Her heart pounded faster with each floor. By the time the doors slid open, she was trembling. Harrison's office was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a desk large enough to land a plane on. But what caught her attention were the photos on the wall. Eleanor Vale in her youth, laughing, radiant. There were blueprints framed beside them, buildings her father might have touched. Harrison stood near the window, hands in his pockets, the city light casting a sharp outline around him. He turned as she entered. You came, he said simply. You said you had answers, she replied. He gestured for her to sit. I've been digging since last night. I found the company records from the year of the accident. They were sealed under court order. Someone didn't want them seen. Anna leaned forward. What was in them? He took a breath. Your father wasn't just a carpenter. He was hired as a structural consultant. Eleanor personally requested him after seeing his work on another project. Anna's brow furrowed. That doesn't make sense. He didn't have a degree. He was self-taught. He was brilliant, Harrison said quietly. And that terrified people who depended on credentials to justify their incompetence. He submitted reports warning that the chandelier installation was unsafe. The documents were ignored. Her stomach sank. By who? He turned his computer screen toward her. A digital folder glowed on the monitor. Archive/1998. Inside were scanned memos and signatures. At the bottom of one page was a name that froze her cold. Gerald Voss, Harrison said. My partner at the time. He was in charge of construction oversight. Anna whispered. He's still with the company. Yes, Harrison said grimly. He's chairman now. She stared at the screen, fury building in her chest. He's the one who caused the collapse. Maybe, Harrison said. But without proof, he'll deny everything. He always does. He's too powerful to touch. Anna's eyes dropped to the pendant resting against her chest. My father left something behind, she murmured. Maybe he hid evidence, something that points to what really happened. Harrison frowned. Where would he hide it? She thought of the candlelit shrine in her mother's apartment, the one with her father's photo, the tiny wooden box underneath it. I think I know. Harrison nodded. Go home. Find it. Bring whatever you can. Anna stood to leave, but stopped when she noticed a photo on Harrison's desk, a black and white picture of Eleanor holding a newborn. I didn't know you had a child, she said softly. His eyes hardened. I did. A daughter. She left years ago. Doesn't return my calls. Why? He looked away. Because she blames me for everything. And she's right. Anna hesitated. What's her name? He hesitated too long. Vivian. She froze. The name hit her like a slap. Your daughter. Vivian Vale. He nodded. Why? Anna swallowed. Because that's the name of the woman who came to our apartment last year, asking questions about my father. Harrison's face went white. What? She said she was researching the old Vale Tech accident. She offered my mum money for my father's tools. He stepped closer, his voice a low growl. Did your mother sell them? Anna shook her head. No, she refused. Harrison's eyes darkened. Then Vivian already knows about the blueprints. Harrison grabs his phone, his voice shaking. She's not just asking questions, Anna. She's cleaning up her father's mess. And now she's coming for you. Anna felt the air in Harrison's office turn cold. The city stretched endlessly behind him, but the walls seemed to close in. His daughter, Vivian Vale. The name echoed in her head like a warning. You're saying your daughter is part of this? Anna asked quietly. Harrison rubbed the bridge of his nose, his jaw tight. I'm saying I don't know her anymore. She took over most of the corporate decisions after Eleanor died. She's ruthless, smarter than I ever was, but colder. If she went to your mother, it wasn't curiosity, it was strategy. Anna stepped closer. She wanted my father's tools. Why? They're worthless. Not if one of them hides proof of what really happened, Harrison said. If your father kept notes, sketches, or modifications that could destroy everything Vivian's built. Anna's stomach twisted. Then she's trying to erase it. He nodded grimly. And she's been doing it for years. Silence lingered for a moment. Harrison turned toward the window, rain streaking down the glass like ghostly fingers. When Eleanor died, I lost everything that made me human. I buried myself in work, in money, in power. Vivian was 13. I left her alone in that mansion with grief and lawyers. She learned early what I valued most. Control. Anna watched him, surprised by the rawness in his voice. He turned back to her. Do you have any idea what it's like to build an empire, just to realize it's rotting from the inside? Yes, she said softly. My father built things too, but he built them to last. That hit him like a slap. He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to a cabinet and poured himself a drink, his hand trembling slightly. You think I don't feel guilty? You think I sleep at night knowing a good man died under my watch? Anna's voice cracked. Then why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you find us? He stared into the amber liquid. Because guilt is a coward's comfort. I convinced myself it wouldn't change anything. I was wrong. The anger that had been simmering inside Anna finally boiled over. You're damn right you were wrong, she snapped. My mom worked 2 jobs to keep us fed. I dropped out of school because we couldn't afford tuition. And all this time, you were sitting in a tower built on lies. He looked up sharply, the pain in his eyes unmistakable. You think I don't know that? I lost my wife, my daughter, and every ounce of peace I ever had. I've spent 20 years paying for it in silence. Anna stepped closer, her voice low but shaking. Silence isn't payment. It's cowardice. The words hung in the air like a blade. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The thunder outside rumbled, faint and distant. Finally, Harrison sighed, setting his glass down with a quiet clink. You're right. She blinked, caught off guard. I've been hiding behind remorse for too long, he said. But if Vivian's covering this up, then I have one last chance to make it right. He picked up the photo of Eleanor and Miguel from his desk. I'm done running from ghosts. Anna's voice softened. What are you going to do? He looked at her. Expose her. All of it. The forged records, the tampered blueprints, the cover-ups. But I need what your father left behind. Without that, it's just my word against hers. Anna nodded, determination setting in. Then we find it tonight. He hesitated. Anna, if Vivian's really behind this, she'll do anything to protect herself. She won't just come after me. She'll come after you. Anna's jaw tightened. She already has. Harrison's expression hardened. Then we don't wait. He grabbed his coat and keys. I'll drive. As they stepped into the elevator, Anna glanced up at the dark glass ceiling reflecting their faces, hers young and frightened, his older and haunted. Miss Vale, she said quietly, why are you helping me now? He didn't look at her. Because helping you might be the only way I'll ever forgive myself. The elevator doors slide open to the lobby, but waiting by the glass entrance is a woman in a black suit, umbrella dripping rainwater, eyes cold and sharp. Harrison freezes. Anna doesn't need an introduction. It's Vivian Vale. The glass doors parted with a mechanical sigh, and the woman stepped inside like she owned the air. Vivian Vale. Her presence was colder than the rain outside. Tailored black suit, hair slicked into a flawless twist, heels that clicked with quiet authority. Her resemblance to her father was uncanny. The same sharp jawline, the same calculating eyes, only without a hint of warmth. Dad, she said, her tone polite but blade-thin. You're out late. Harrison stiffened. Vivian, I thought you were in London. Flight got in early, she replied. Her gaze slid toward Anna, assessing her like a problem to be solved. And who's this? Anna began, but Harrison stepped in front of her. She's an employee from the restaurant. Vivian's eyebrow arched. The restaurant? You brought a waitress into our building after hours? That's new? Harrison's voice hardened. She's helping me with something important. Vivian smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. Oh, I'm sure she is. Anna felt the air thicken. Vivian moved closer, her perfume sharp and cold, her expression almost amused. You're the girl from the article, aren't you? The one who told my father not to sit in a chair. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Anna said carefully. Trouble, Vivian repeated with a light laugh. You've caused more than you know. Harrison's jaw tightened. Vivian, enough. We need to talk, in private. Vivian tilted her head, still watching Anna. Does this private conversation have to do with the blueprints you've been digging up? Harrison froze. How do you— Please, she interrupted, her tone cool and effortless. I sign every security report that crosses my desk. Did you really think I wouldn't notice when someone accessed sealed archives from 1998? Anna felt her stomach drop. Vivian turned to her. You found them, didn't you? The drawings, the notes. My father's been living in the past for decades, and now you're his little ghost hunter. Anna forced herself to meet her gaze. Your father's trying to make things right. You should want that too. Vivian's expression didn't change, but her eyes flashed. Right? You think there's such a thing as right in business? There's only survival. Someone died, Anna said sharply. My father died. Vivian's smile vanished. And I lost my mother, she said softly. So spare me the morality speech. Tragedy doesn't give you ownership of pain. The tension cracked like thunder. Harrison stepped between them. Vivian, stop. Miguel Morales was a hero. You know that. Her voice turned icy. What I know is that reopening this case will destroy everything. The company, our name, everything Mother built. She'd want the truth, Harrison's voice rose. She believed in integrity. She believed in you, Vivian snapped, her composure finally breaking. And you killed her with your obsession for control. The silence that followed was unbearable. Harrison's shoulders sagged. For a moment, he looked 20 years older. Vivian straightened her jacket, regaining her icy calm. Walk away from this, Dad. Both of you. Burn those files and forget they ever existed. Harrison shook his head. No. Then you're choosing her, Vivian said quietly, glancing at Anna. A stranger over your own blood. I'm choosing the truth, he said. Vivian's eyes flicked with something like betrayal before she smiled again. Calm, terrifying. Then the truth will bury you. She turned and walked toward the elevator, heels echoing like a countdown. Good night, Father. Miss Morales. The doors closed behind her, leaving only the hiss of rain against the glass. Anna exhaled shakily. She knows everything. Harrison's voice was barely a whisper. She's already making her move. Before Anna could speak, Harrison's phone buzzed. He looked down, and all the color drained from his face. Anna leaned closer. What is it? He showed her the screen. It was a live feed from his security app, flashing red with motion alerts. The image showed his private archive room. Door forced open, shelves overturned, papers scattered. And in the middle of the chaos, a figure in black was pouring gasoline. Harrison drops the phone, eyes wide. She's burning the evidence. Everything's gone. Harrison stared at the phone like it had turned to fuck in his hand. The live feed showed flames licking across old paper, the red glow flickering on metal shelves, files, blueprints, photographs, all of it going up in smoke. She's destroying the past, he whispered. Anna grabbed the phone. We have to stop her. It's too late, he said hollowly. That archive is in a separate wing, locked after hours. The fire suppression system is automatic, but she knows how to override it. Anna's voice shook. We can still call security. I am security, he said bitterly. She owns every guard, every system, every lock. She learned from me. The building alarm began to wail faintly in the distance. Somewhere below them, people were already evacuating. Harrison didn't move. He looked frozen in place, eyes glazed over. Mr. Vale, Anna said urgently. We can't just stand here. He blinked like surfacing from underwater. You're right. He grabbed his coat. Come on. They took the stairs 2 at a time. Smoke drifted faintly through the lower halls, curling around the light fixtures. Anna's lungs burned with adrenaline and the sharp tang of burning plastic. When they reached the corridor outside the archive, security sprinklers had already kicked in, drenching the floor. Flames hissed and sputtered, but the damage was done. Entire shelves had collapsed under the weight of water and heat. Anna coughed, covering her mouth. Everything's gone. Not everything, Harrison muttered, moving through the wreckage. He stopped suddenly near a half-burned metal box, the lid warped but still intact. Help me open this. Together they pried it open. Inside, miraculously dry, were a few sheets of paper sealed in plastic and an envelope, edges yellowed with age. Harrison pulled it out, his hands trembling. The envelope was addressed in neat handwriting. To Harrison Vale. Read this if she's gone, Anna whispered. Who's it from? He stared at the signature on the back. Eleanor. His breath hitched. He slid a finger under the flap and opened it. The paper crackled, the ink slightly faded. He began to read aloud, voice barely steady. My love, if you're reading this, then the worst has happened. I've seen things at Valetech that don't make sense. Blueprints altered after final approval, invoices paid to ghost accounts. Miguel Morales came to me last week, terrified. He said the ballroom ceiling wasn't built to spec. He was right. Anna's heart pounded. She knew. Harrison kept reading, his voice trembling. I begged you to double-check the construction, but you told me to trust your people. Harrison, someone is using your name to cover negligence. Or worse, Miguel was going to bring you proof. He's brave, but he's scared. If something happens to him, you'll know why. He stopped, voice cracking. If I don't make it, promise me this. Protect the Morales family. They deserve peace, and don't let Valetech become the monster we feared. The letter ended with a simple line. Love always. Harrison folded the page with shaking fingers. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the distant hiss of sprinklers filled the silence. Anna felt her throat close. She knew the truth all along. He nodded slowly. And I ignored her. The weight of his guilt filled the room like smoke. Anna touched his arm gently. You can't change what happened, but you can honor her now. He looked up at her, eyes red-rimmed. You don't understand. Vivian has the board, the lawyers, the media. If I release this letter, she'll bury it, and me, before it sees daylight. Then we don't release it through her, Anna said. We go public, together. He hesitated, torn between fear and resolve. You don't know what you're asking for. Yes, I do, she said. You told me ghosts don't care what we believe. Maybe this one's asking you to listen. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Courage, maybe, or exhaustion that finally found a purpose. He folded the letter carefully, tucking it into his coat pocket. All right, he said quietly. Tomorrow morning, I'll call a press conference. If Valetech has to burn, let it burn the right way. Anna nodded. But as they turned to leave, a shadow moved at the end of the corridor, someone watching through the haze of smoke. Harrison froze. Vivian? The shadow didn't move. It just smiled. From the smoke, Vivian's voice echoed softly. You should have left the past buried, Dad. Then came the sound of a gun being cocked. The click of the gun echoed through the flooded corridor like thunder. Vivian stepped forward, the muzzle glinting under the flicker of emergency lights. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with something close to rage. Put the letter down, Dad, she said. Harrison stood still, water dripping from his coat, his hand hovering near his pocket. Vivian, don't do this. This isn't what it looks like, she said, though her voice betrayed her. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to stop you from destroying everything Mom built. Anna's voice came out hoarse. Your mother wanted the truth. Vivian's jaw tightened. You don't get to talk about her. She wrote you out of that letter, Harrison said quietly, because she knew what this company would turn you into. Vivian's hand shook slightly on the gun. No, she knew what it would turn you into. The grieving widower who needed something to control. Vivian, he said softly, stepping closer. This isn't control. It's redemption. Redemption, she repeated bitterly. You think confessing to corporate manslaughter on live TV makes you a saint? You'll ruin every investor, every employee who's ever trusted you. The board will crumble. Thousands will lose their jobs. And maybe, Harrison said, they'll finally be free of a lie. Vivian's eyes glistened. You'd rather burn the house down than admit you built it wrong. I'd rather burn it down than let you live inside its rot. The words struck her like a slap. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Anna spoke quietly, carefully. Vivian, you don't have to protect a secret that isn't yours. My father died trying to stop this. He wasn't your enemy. Vivian turned the gun toward her. And you? What are you? A waitress playing hero? Anna didn't flinch. No. Just the daughter of a man who deserved better than silence. Vivian's hand trembled harder. Harrison stepped closer. Vivian, please. Don't make your mother's death mean nothing. She blinked, eyes flickering with pain. You think this company killed her? I know it did. That was enough. Vivian's composure cracked. She lowered the gun just a fraction, her voice breaking. She loved this company. It was all she ever talked about. Her charity, her dream. I thought, if I protected it, I'd protect her. Harrison took another step forward, his voice low and shaking. The company isn't her, Viv. It never was. For a moment, she looked like the little girl he remembered, hurt, frightened, confused. The gun slipped lower, her arm trembling from exhaustion more than anger. Then distant sirens wailed. Security. The building's alarm had summoned the fire department. Vivian turned sharply, panic flashing across her face. If the police get here and find me with this, then put it down, Harrison said. It's over. She hesitated, torn between surrender and survival. Finally, she threw the gun into the water and stepped back, her voice trembling. You don't understand, Dad. There are people on that board who won't let this come out. Not even you can stop them. Anna frowned. What people? Vivian shook her head. The ones who paid for the cover-up. The ones who signed my mother's death warrant. Before they could press her further, a voice crackled through the intercom overhead. Mr. Vale, this is security. We need you to evacuate immediately. The fire's spreading. Harrison looked at his daughter, his expression torn between fury and heartbreak. We're not done, Viv. I know, she whispered, but neither is this. She turned and ran toward the stairwell, disappearing into the smoke before they could stop her. Anna grabbed Harrison's arm. We have to go. He hesitated, staring after his daughter, then nodded. Not yet. There's something I need from my office first. They raced back up the stairwell to the top floor. Smoke followed them, curling up the steps like black ribbons. When they burst into his office, Harrison went straight to his desk and opened a hidden drawer. Inside was a flash drive sealed in a glass case. This is a full copy of the Vale Tech archives, he said. Every memo, every contract, every lie. Anna's eyes widened. Does Vivian know about it? No. And if we're lucky, she never will. He slipped it into his pocket. This is our proof. The building shook faintly as alarms blared louder. Anna's phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing across the screen. She answered instinctively. Hello? A distorted voice came through. You don't know what you're stepping into, Miss Morales. Walk away now, or you'll end up just like your father. The line went dead, leaving only static and the faint sound of someone whispering her name. Anna's hands shook as she lowered the phone. The static still buzzed faintly in her ears, like an echo she couldn't escape. Harrison watched her, breath heavy from the smoke. Who was that? She swallowed hard. I don't know. The voice was distorted. They knew my name. Then we're out of time, he said. We need to leave before whoever that was decides to make sure we don't. They raced down the corridor. Fire crews had arrived, their shouts cutting through the sirens. Smoke rolled under the glass walls like grey waves. Anna coughed, covering her mouth with her sleeve. As they neared the lobby, the building's main doors burst open, and uniformed officers stormed in. Hands where we can see them, one shouted. Anna froze. What's happening? The lead officer stepped forward. Anna Morales, you're under arrest for arson and corporate theft. Her heart dropped. What? That's insane. Harrison moved between her and the police. This is a mistake. She had nothing to do with this. The officer ignored him, reading from a tablet. Security footage places Miss Morales near the Vailtech archive at the time of the fire. We also have surveillance showing her leaving the restaurant with Mr. Vale on multiple occasions this week. They're framing her, Harrison said. Vivian did this. She's behind it. The officer's jaw tightened. We have a warrant issued by Vailtech's board of directors, signed by Vivian Vale herself. Anna's breath caught. She framed me. Harrison's voice rose. I'll clear this up. Just give us a minute. But before he could move, one of the officers stepped forward and grabbed Anna's wrist, snapping the cuffs on. The metal bit into her skin. You can't do this, Harrison shouted. We're just doing our job, sir, the officer replied. You'll have a chance to explain downtown. They started to pull her away. Anna twisted, panic breaking through her shock. Mr. Vale, the flash drive, keep it safe. He nodded. I promise I won't let her win. As the police escorted her through the crowd of evacuees and firefighters, people whispered. Cameras flashed. Reporters were already outside, microphones pointed like weapons. Miss Morales, did you start the fire? Are you involved with Harrison Vale? Did you steal classified data from Vailtech? Her throat closed. No, none of that's true. The words disappeared under the chaos. They pushed her into the back of a squad car. The door slammed shut, sealing her away from the shouting, the smoke, the world. Through the window she saw Harrison arguing with an officer, his face pale and furious. He looked like a man watching history repeat itself, a good person being destroyed by the machine he built. The car started moving. Anna pressed her forehead against the glass, fighting tears. Every part of her screamed that this was exactly what they wanted, to silence her, bury her, erase her father's truth all over again. When they reached the precinct, she was fingerprinted, questioned, and locked in a holding cell. The walls were cold concrete, the light flickering above her like a bad dream. Hours passed before anyone came. Then the metal door opened, and a man in a grey suit stepped inside. He was tall, thin, and wore a faint, knowing smile. Miss Morales, he said smoothly. My name's Samuel Pike. I represent Vailtech. I don't want your lawyer, she said bitterly. I didn't do anything. Oh, I know, he said, pulling up a chair. But it doesn't matter. Public perception is already shifting. The media loves a villain, and right now, you're it. Anna glared at him. Vivian sent you. He smiled wider. Let's just say Miss Vale prefers loose ends tied up quietly. If you cooperate, she'll make this disappear. What kind of cooperation? She asked, voice trembling. He leaned closer. Tell the police Harrison forced you to steal that data. Say he threatened you. Then walk away. You'll never work another day in your life. But you'll still have one. Anna stared at him, her pulse pounding. And if I don't? His smile faded. Then you'll end up like your father, buried under someone else's story. He stood and walked to the door. You have until morning. The door clanged shut, leaving her alone with the echo of his words. Anna sat in the darkness, realizing that the only person who could save her now was the same man who once destroyed her family, Harrison Vale. The night inside the cell felt endless. Every tick of the wall clock dug deeper into Anna's nerves. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard Samuel Pike's voice. You'll end up like your father. She sat on the narrow cot, staring at her reflection in the scratched metal wall. The cuffs had left red marks on her wrists, and her throat was raw from hours of silence. The precinct was quiet now. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights felt like a threat. Then faint footsteps echoed down the hall. Keys jingled. The door opened. Morales, a voice said gruffly. She looked up. The guard wasn't one she'd seen before. An older man, weary but calm. You've got a visitor. Anna frowned. Who? He didn't answer. He just unlocked the cuffs from the bench and motioned her forward. He led her down a dim corridor toward the interview room. Inside, to her surprise, Harrison Vale was waiting. His tie was gone, his eyes hollow with exhaustion. But he was there. The guard shut the door behind them. "Harrison," she said, barely above a whisper. "How did you—" "I called in every favor I had left," he said. "Vivian's got half the city in her pocket, but there are still a few people who owe me." She exhaled shakily. "They think I did it." "I know." He reached into his coat pocket and slid a folded document across the table. "But we're going to change that." Anna hesitated before unfolding it. The paper was old, edges yellowed, stamped with an official seal. Her eyes widened as she read the heading, "Last Will and Testament of Eleanor Vale." Her voice trembled. "Your wife's will?" He nodded. "It was hidden. Found it on a secondary server, buried in the archives Vivian tried to destroy. I didn't even know it existed." "What does it say?" He leaned forward. "It states that a portion of Valetech's founding shares were meant to go to the family of Miguel Morales for his service, sacrifice, and integrity. Eleanor wanted to ensure your family was taken care of, but the document was never executed. The board, led by Gerald Voss, suppressed it after her death." Anna's mouth fell open. "My family was supposed to own part of Valetech?" "Yes," he said quietly. "Legally, it means you're one of the company's rightful beneficiaries. You have standing to challenge Vivian's authority, and the board's." She shook her head in disbelief. "That's why she framed me. If the world finds out I'm tied to Valetech, it ruins her control." Harrison nodded. "Exactly. You're not just a threat. You're proof of everything she's been hiding." Anna pressed the paper flat on the table. "How do we prove it's real?" He opened a small envelope and slid it to her. "The original notarized copy, signed by Eleanor and 2 witnesses, one of them your father." Her eyes burned with tears. "He signed this?" "He did," Harrison said softly. "He and Eleanor worked together more closely than I ever realized. Maybe they both knew the truth would come out one day. Maybe this was their insurance." Anna clutched the document. "We need to show this to the police." "Not yet," Harrison said quickly. "Vivian's got influence in the department. If we give it to them now, it'll disappear before morning." "Then what do we do?" He met her eyes. "We take it to the press. Live. The letter, the will, everything. I've already scheduled a press conference for tomorrow morning. Valetech headquarters." Anna hesitated. "You'll destroy your own company." He gave a tired smile. "It was never mine to keep." The door suddenly opened. The same guard from before stepped in, but his voice dropped to a whisper. "They're coming. 2 Valetech lawyers, armed with warrants. They want her moved to corporate custody." Anna froze. "What does that mean?" "It means Vivian's pulling strings again," Harrison said grimly. "We have 5 minutes to get you out of here." The guard looked at Harrison. "I owe your wife, or she saved my pension 20 years ago. You've got 1 shot. Back door, service exit." Anna stood, adrenaline rushing. "You're helping us escape." The guard gave a faint smile. "Let's just say ghosts aren't the only ones who remember debts." As they ran through the back hall, alarms blared, and outside, headlights cut through the rain. A black car screeched to a stop, and Vivian stepped out, umbrella in hand, smiling coldly. "Going somewhere, Daddy?" Rain poured in sheets over the back alley of the precinct, bouncing off the concrete like shattered glass. The headlights from the black car cut through the storm, blinding for an instant. Vivian Vale stood there, beneath a sleek black umbrella, her heels untouched by puddles, her eyes cold as polished steel. "Going somewhere, Daddy?" she asked, her tone almost playful. Harrison froze. Anna's pulse spiked. The guard who'd helped them stepped back, hand twitching toward his sidearm. Vivian smiled faintly. "Relax, officer. I'm not here to make a scene. I just came to collect what's mine." "What the hell are you doing?" Harrison demanded. "You framed her, burned evidence, and now you show up here in person?" She tilted her head. "That's a bold accusation, considering your little waitress here is the one wanted for arson." Anna stepped forward, despite the fear creeping up her spine. "You're lying. You set the fire yourself." Vivian's gaze flicked toward her. "You're a brave girl, I'll give you that. But you really should have stayed behind your tray and apron. Harrison stepped between them. Vivian, listen to me. Eleanor left a will. It names the Morales family as rightful beneficiaries. You can't bury that. Her smile didn't falter. Oh, Dad. You still don't understand how this game works, do you? It's not about what's true. It's about what people believe. Harrison's eyes hardened. People will believe the truth once they see the documents. Which ones? She asked sweetly. The forged ones you just made in your office? The ones conveniently naming a dead man and a waitress as shareholders? Anna's stomach twisted. You're unbelievable. No, Vivian said softly, stepping closer. I'm prepared. There's a difference. The guard moved to block her, but Vivian simply waved her hand. Two men in dark coats stepped out from the car, corporate security, their expressions blank and professional. Vivian, Harrison warned. Don't do this, she sighed. I tried to handle this quietly, but you made it messy. You always do. She nodded at the guards. Get the girl. Before Anna could move, one of them grabbed her arm. She struggled, shouting, Let me go! The guard tightened his grip, forcing her toward the car. Harrison lunged forward. You're not taking her! One of the men shoved him back hard. He stumbled, but didn't fall. You think this makes you powerful? He shouted. You're no better than the people who killed your mother. Vivian's face went pale for a split second before snapping back to steel. Don't you dare use her against me. You're already using her memory to justify everything rotten you've done. Rotten? Vivian laughed bitterly. You built this empire on secrets and corpses, and you call me rotten? She stepped closer until they were inches apart. You taught me that morality is a luxury for people who can afford it. Harrison's voice broke. Then I failed you. For the first time, Vivian's mask cracked, just a flicker of pain across her face. But it was gone as quickly as it came. Goodbye, Dad, she whispered. Anna twisted sharply, slamming her heel down on the guard's foot. He yelped, loosening his grip. She pulled free and shoved him away, sprinting toward Harrison. Run! They bolted down the alley, rain blurring everything into streaks of grey and red. Behind them, Vivian shouted orders. The guards gave chase. Where are we going? Anna yelled. There's a safe house 2 blocks from here. Harrison gasped. Old company property. They turned a corner, splashing through puddles. Tires screeched behind them, Vivian's car accelerating fast. Anna glanced back. She's gaining! Keep running, Harrison said, grabbing her arm and pulling her toward a rusted metal door under a flickering streetlight. He punched in an old code on the keypad. The door buzzed, then clicked open. They stumbled inside, slamming it shut just as headlights swept across the alley. Harrison leaned against the wall, chest heaving. We'll be safe for now. Anna caught her breath. She's not going to stop. He nodded grimly. No, but neither will we. He pulled the folded will and the flash drive from his pocket. These are our weapons now. Outside, the storm raged louder. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed. Anna looked out the narrow window and saw Vivian's car still idling, her silhouette visible through the glass. She wasn't leaving. She was waiting. Anna turned from the window as thunder cracked and realized the flash drive in Harrison's hand was gone. Someone inside the safe house had just stolen it. Anna's breath caught as she stared at Harrison's empty hand. The flash drive, the proof, the leverage, their only way out, was gone. What do you mean it's missing? She whispered. Harrison turned in a panic, patting his coat, scanning the floor. It was right here. I swear I just had it. Anna spun toward the dim corners of the safe house. The place smelled of dust and old oil. A single light flickered above them, casting jagged shadows on the concrete walls. Someone was here before us. Harrison's jaw tightened. Impossible. This building's been locked for years. A voice came from the back of the room. Not exactly. Anna froze. From the shadows stepped an older man in a janitor's uniform, thin, grey-haired, eyes too sharp to belong to a cleaner. He held the flash drive between two fingers, dangling it like bait. "You're looking for this," he said calmly. "Who the hell are you?" Harrison demanded. The man gave a faint smile. Samuel Pike. We've met, though you probably don't remember me without a boardroom and a three-piece suit." Anna's blood ran cold. "You're the lawyer who came to see me in the cell." He nodded politely. "You have a good memory. I told you then to walk away. Pity you didn't." Harrison stepped forward. "If you're here for Vivian, you're wasting your time. Whatever she promised you, she can't protect you from what's coming." Samuel's grin widened. "Oh, I'm not working for Vivian. Not anymore. She thinks she's in charge, but she's just another pawn. I'm here for myself." Anna frowned. "Then what do you want?" He twirled the flash drive once, then slipped it into his pocket. "Let's call it insurance. You expose Vailtech, every board member burns. That includes me. I'm not letting that happen." Harrison's voice hardened. "That evidence belongs to the Morales family, and to the Truth." Samuel chuckled. "Truth doesn't pay my bills." Before anyone could move, he pulled a small pistol from under his jacket and leveled it at them. "Now here's how this goes. You're both going to walk away. You'll make a statement saying the evidence was destroyed in the fire. Vailtech will settle with the Morales family quietly, and I'll make sure you both disappear with enough money to forget any of this happened." Anna stared at him. "That's exactly what you did to my father, isn't it? You made him disappear." His eyes flicked to hers, and for a moment she saw something crack behind his composure. Harrison's voice was low and steady. "You were there that night." Samuel didn't deny it. "I warned him to stop asking questions. He didn't listen." "You killed him," Anna said, trembling. "I didn't have to," he replied coldly. "The building did it for me." Rage flared through her like electricity. "You watched him die?" Samuel's smirk returned. "He chose his principles. I chose survival." Harrison took a slow step forward. "You always were a coward, Pike." "Stop right there," Samuel barked, aiming the gun squarely at his chest. "Another step and I'll—" He never finished the sentence. A deafening crack split the air. The light above them shattered. Samuel gasped, stumbling backward. The gun clattered to the floor. Anna turned toward the source of the shot and froze. Vivian stood in the doorway, her umbrella still dripping rain, a smoking revolver in her hand. "Dad," she said, her voice shaking. "You were right. He was there the night Mum died." Harrison stared at her, speechless. Vivian walked slowly to Samuel's fallen body, kicking the gun aside. "He tried to blackmail me too. Said he'd expose the board if I didn't play along." She looked up, eyes glistening with anger and something else. Grief. "I didn't know what he did to Miguel until tonight." Anna's chest tightened. You shot him." Vivian glanced down at the lifeless man. "He took enough from both our families." Silence filled the room, except for the rain against the windows. Harrison finally spoke, voice low and weary. "Vivian, we can still fix this, but we'd do it the right way." She looked at him for a long time, then at Anna. "Maybe it's time the world knows what Vailtech really is." Vivian tossed the flash drive onto the table and whispered, "Tomorrow morning, we go public." But outside, headlights flashed again. Someone else had been listening the entire time. For a long moment, no one spoke. The rain beat against the metal roof, steady and relentless, like the ticking of a clock running out of time. Vivian still stood by Samuel's body, her hand trembling slightly as she holstered the pistol into her coat. The room smelled of gunpowder and rain. Harrison watched her warily. His daughter, his enemy, his reflection. Anna was the first to break the silence. "Someone's out there," she whispered, pointing toward the narrow window. A pair of headlights flickered through the rain, too still to be passing traffic. Vivian's jaw clenched. "The board," she said. "They're tying up loose ends. Pike must have warned them before he came here." Harrison grabbed the flash drive from the table and tucked it into his jacket. Then we need to move. Now! Vivian shook her head. If we run, they'll spin it. 2 fugitives, 1 dead man, and a waitress caught in the middle. They'll own the story by morning. Anna frowned. Then what's your plan? Vivian looked between them, the storm light flickering across her face. We end this tonight. No press conferences, no waiting. We go straight to Vailtech headquarters and stream the truth ourselves. Harrison blinked. That's suicide. She gave a bitter smile. Maybe. But it's also justice. He studied her for a long second, then nodded. All right. We do it your way. They left the safe house under the cover of darkness, moving through the alleys where the rain fell in cold sheets. The city around them pulsed with neon and thunder. As they reached Harrison's car, Anna glanced back at the warehouse. For just a heartbeat, she thought she saw someone in the window, watching. But when she blinked, it was gone. Inside the car, silence pressed between them. The drive to Vailtech felt endless. Vivian sat in the back seat, staring out the window, her expression unreadable. Harrison kept his eyes on the road, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. Finally, Anna spoke. You said Pike worked for the board. How deep does this go? Vivian didn't look away from the rain. Deeper than you think. Vailtech isn't just my father's company anymore. It's a machine. The board members, Voss, Marlin, Cho, they all profited from the cover-up. They built their fortunes on it. Harrison's voice was heavy. Gerald Voss signed off on the chandelier installation. He ignored the safety report. Vivian nodded. And when Mom died, he made me believe it was your fault. I was a kid, angry, lost. He used that. He shaped me into his weapon. Anna turned in her seat. You let them do it. Vivian's tone cracked. I didn't know. Not until tonight. Harrison glanced at her through the mirror. Then help me make it right. Vivian met his eyes. If we do this, there's no turning back. He nodded. We already passed that line 20 years ago. They reached Vailtech just after midnight. The massive glass tower loomed above them like a cathedral of secrets. The parking lot was empty except for a few black sedans, the board's private security. Vivian reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. Portable transmitter, she said. If we plug this into the main network hub, the confession and the files go live. Every news outlet, every shareholder, every employee. Anna swallowed hard. And if they catch us? Vivian glanced at the gun in her coat. Then at least we won't go quietly. Harrison parked behind the loading dock. We go through maintenance, less surveillance. They slipped inside. The corridors were eerily quiet, only the hum of distant servers filling the air. As they reached the control room, Vivian handed Harrison the transmitter. You plug it in. You started this empire. You end it. He nodded, his hand trembling as he inserted the flash drive. The monitors flickered to life. Old files, photos, and Eleanor's letter appearing across the screens. But before the upload completed, a voice echoed from the doorway. Going somewhere, Vale? Gerald Voss stepped out of the shadows, flanked by 2 armed guards. His smile was calm, his tone casual. You should have stayed buried with your ghosts. Vivian's face drained of color. You knew we'd come. Voss's smile widened. Of course. I built this company with you people. I know how you think. Harrison stepped forward, blocking Anna. It's over, Gerald. Voss chuckled. You think uploading a few files changes anything? The world doesn't care about truth. It cares about profit. Anna's voice cut through the tension. Then let's show them what their profit costs. Vivian met her father's eyes, nodded once, and slammed her hand down on the keyboard. The upload bar filled the screen. 100%. Voss's smile vanished. What did you do? Ended the lie, Vivian said. The monitors flashed white, the alarms blared, and in that instant, the entire city lit up with the truth about Vailtech. But behind them, one of Voss's guards raised his weapon and fired. The gunshot tore through the control room. The sound was deafening. Metal, glass, and fear colliding in one brutal instant. Anna flinched as a monitor exploded beside her, shards raining down. Harrison stumbled back, clutching his arm where blood bloomed through his sleeve. Vivian screamed his name, firing back instinctively. One of Voss's guards dropped. Another retreated behind the doorway. "Dad!" she cried, grabbing him as he sank to one knee. "I'm fine," he rasped, though the pain was clear in his face. "Get the drive. Make sure it uploads completely." Anna crawled to the console, checking the screen. The upload bar was finished, the message clear across the network. "Vailtech Public Archive. Truth released." "It's live," she said, her voice trembling. "The world's seeing it." Voss's snarl broke through the chaos. "You think this redeems you? You think the public cares about your tragedy?" Vivian turned on him, eyes blazing. "They'll care when they realize you killed them. My mother, her father, everyone who trusted you." Voss sneered. "Your mother was collateral damage. So was he." That was the last thing he ever said. Vivian raised her weapon, hands steady, and fired once. The bullet struck clean. Voss collapsed without ceremony, the echo of his fall drowned by the alarms. For a moment, there was only silence, the kind that comes after years of noise. Harrison leaned against the desk, pale but breathing. "It's over," he whispered. Vivian stood frozen, staring at what she'd done. "No," she said quietly. "It's not. It never will be." Anna turned from the body to her. "You didn't have a choice." Vivian shook her head. "There's always a choice. I just never picked the right one." Sirens wailed outside, real ones this time, growing louder. Police lights flickered against the rain-soaked windows. Harrison pushed himself upright, wincing. "They'll be here any second. Anna, help me with something." She hurried to his side. He pointed toward a large wooden crate near the back of the room. Together they pried it open, revealing an old, ornate chair, the same one from the gilded table. The cursed chair. Anna's breath caught. "Why is this here?" Harrison smiled faintly. "It was never cursed. It was meant to remind me what I lost, and what I owed." Vivian frowned. "You kept it?" "I had it moved here years ago. I couldn't destroy it." He motioned for Anna. "Help me lift it." They set it in the center of the room, the same chair that had started it all. Its wood gleamed faintly under the red emergency lights, polished but scarred. Harrison sank into it, exhaling shakily. "Your father built this," he said softly. "Maybe sitting here now. Maybe I can finally face what I've done." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore." He looked up at her, and for the first time, his face was peaceful. "I'm not." The door burst open. Police flooded in, guns drawn. But when they saw Harrison Vale, bleeding and unarmed, they lowered them. Officers shouted commands. Medics rushed forward. Vivian raised her hands in surrender. "I'll answer for what I've done," she said quietly, "but make sure the world sees what my father tried to fix." One officer nodded. "They already are, ma'am. Every news feed in the country has the story." Anna helped the medics bandage Harrison's arm. He smiled weakly. "Eleanor would have liked you," he murmured. Anna laughed through her tears. "I think she already does." As they led Vivian and Harrison out, Anna lingered in the room. The chair sat alone under the flickering light, no longer cursed, just quiet. She reached out, her fingers brushing the armrest. It was warm. She closed her eyes, and for a brief moment, she could almost hear two voices, her father's and Eleanor's, soft, distant, content. When she opened her eyes again, the rain outside had stopped. As Anna turned to leave, a faint sound echoed through the empty room. The creak of the chair shifting slightly on its own, as if someone unseen had just stood up. The next morning, sunlight finally broke through the grey haze that had hung over the city for days. Reporters crowded the steps of Vale Tech headquarters, their microphones and cameras aimed at the glass tower that had once symbolized power, and now, exposure. Anna stood across the street, coat pulled tight against the cold, watching the chaos unfold. News choppers circled overhead. Screens downtown replayed clips of the leaked files, Eleanor Vale's letter, the signed will, and internal memos showing years of corruption. Valetech's emperor was collapsing in real time. Behind the scenes, Vivian Vale sat in an interrogation room downtown. She had surrendered without protest, her statement clear and recorded. I am responsible for suppressing evidence, but my father told the truth. The lies end here. Harrison, recovering in a hospital bed, refused interviews. The wound on his arm was minor. The weight in his heart was not. Anna hadn't left his side through the night. When he finally woke, he'd looked at her with a faint smile and said, "You remind me of him, your father." He never stopped believing people could do the right thing. Now, as she watched the building swarm with investigators, she realized something she hadn't before. Justice doesn't erase the past. It transforms it. A police car pulled up beside her. The officer who stepped out was the same one who had arrested her 2 nights before. He approached hesitantly. "Miss Morales?" She turned, wary. He held out a sealed envelope. "From the district attorney's office. You're free of all charges. Officially." She exhaled shakily, the words sinking in. "Thank you." He nodded, then added quietly, "You did something big. Most people wouldn't have the guts." Anna managed a tired smile. "I didn't do it alone." When he left, she tore open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet, a legal statement recognizing the Morales family as rightful shareholders of Valetech, her father's name printed beside hers. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Across the street, reporters shouted as Harrison Vale emerged from the hospital entrance, dressed in a simple coat instead of his usual tailored armor. He ignored the flashes and microphones, walking slowly toward the waiting crowd. Anna followed. When he reached the steps, he paused, looking up at the massive Valetech sign above the doors. It was tarnished now, letters flickering from the damage of the night before. He took a deep breath, then faced the cameras. "My name is Harrison Vale," he began, his voice calm but weighted. "For 20 years, this company stood as a monument to my ambition, but behind the glass and steel was a lie that cost good people their lives." The crowd was silent. He continued, "My wife, Eleanor, tried to stop it. Miguel Morales tried to warn me. I ignored them both. Their courage deserves remembrance, not silence." Anna's throat tightened. "I've resigned as CEO effective immediately," Harrison said. "Ownership of Valetech will transfer to a trust in the names of those harmed by its actions, beginning with the Morales family." Reporters erupted in questions, flashes exploding like fireworks. But Harrison only looked at Anna, who stood a few steps away, tears streaking her cheeks. He nodded once, a quiet acknowledgement between 2 lives bound by loss and truth. That night, the world changed. The news cycle called it the Valetech Reckoning. Politicians quoted Eleanor's letter in speeches. Online, millions watched Anna's interview, where she said simply, "My father believed integrity outlives power. He was right." Weeks passed. Vivian received a reduced sentence in exchange for her cooperation. She visited her father once in the hospital before leaving for an undisclosed location. No cameras, no headlines, just a daughter who finally let go. 1 month later, the old restaurant reopened under a new name, The Gilded Truth. Anna managed it herself. On opening night, she placed a single object in the corner near the window, the chair. Restored, unchained from its ghosts, polished to a soft glow. When the first guest walked in, Anna smiled and said, "That seat's taken." "By who?" the customer asked, half joking. She glanced at the chair, the sunlight catching the grain of its wood. "By everyone who made things right." As laughter and warmth filled the room, Anna looked out the window. Across the street, Valetech's tower still stood, but for the first time, its reflection didn't seem so cold. The city had changed. So had she. The truth had burned everything hollow, but from the ashes, something honest finally took its seat. So that's how our story comes to an end, my wonderful friends. You're still here, aren't you? If you've stayed with me this far, maybe something in this story has touched your heart in a quiet, powerful way. Because beneath all the twists and drama, there's a truth we all recognize. That redemption begins the moment we stop hiding from what hurts. Harrison faced his guilt, Anna faced her fear, and together they chose truth over comfort. The Stoics used to say, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's what this story is really about. Taking back control of our lives by facing reality, no matter how painful it is. Healing doesn't always come with a happy ending. Sometimes it comes with peace, the kind that whispers, "You did the right thing." So maybe tonight you can look at your own life and ask, what truth have I been afraid to face? And maybe, just maybe, you'll find the courage to set it free. If this story moved you, share it. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Let's keep building a space where stories don't just entertain, they remind us to be human again.